Greetings of peace and love, my people. It is Anna Renee, your love power goddess, and I am here with each and every one of you on this brand new day. It is 7 a.m. in the morning here on the West Coast, California, Oakland. I've been up for a minute, my people. I have been up for a minute, and I am thankful to even be alive on this very day, here with you all, about to start the breakdown of these Metu NETER oracle cards, which I have been holding and contemplating and just thinking on for the last 7 or 8 months, or however long it's been, probably more like 6 months. And it has occurred to me that what I want to do is just speak on each god, each of these entities, one by one. And each one has 5 cards for this particular oracle deck. This one is GEB, number 10 of the Tree of Life, a representation of the Earth realm. GEB, or sometimes called SEB, and I wanted to start here because knowing the way we think as human beings, we might consider, because it's broken down, the Tree of Life is broken down into 10 sections, right? And each section, or each sphere, has its own god, and at the top, number 0, what actually is more than 10 sections, 11 sections really. And sphere 0 represents God. Sphere 1 represents Alsar, which is the god man, the top of the tree. And if I start at the top, then it would seem like all the rest are meaningless because just the way we sometimes think as human beings, we want to go to the top of the mountain, and then everything beneath that is beneath. And everything that's considered beneath in the way that we think, and the truth of the matter is, we think like this, everything else is useless and we don't want to know anything about it. But that would be a fatal error when it comes to the Metu NETER cards. So I decided to start at the quote unquote bottom and work our way up. A lot of times we don't want to crawl before we walk, and we end up not even being able to walk. We never learned to walk because we never wanted to learn to crawl. And it has to do with ego, and not necessarily a bad thing, but it can interfere. And so I'm starting at 10, which is GEB, which is what I just said. And so what I'm going to do is read from the Metu NETER to break down the meaning of each of these 5 cards, and the meaning of GEB, and the representation of this particular god, this particular entity, this particular level of the makeup of man, human, meaning men and women. The spirit of the human being is very complex according to this divination system, according to what our African ancestors of many millennia ago determined, okay, found out inquired and was inspired by the ancestors, okay, to know these things, by God, to understand these things, to work this thing out. This is ancient knowledge that has been reformed by our elder Ra-Nefer Amen, who has written numerous books, has his own Asar Aset Society, which has many chapters across the nation and even internationally. There are many chapters of the Asar Aset Society. There's one here in my city in Oakland, California, that's been around for at least 20 years. I've known of the Asar Aset Society being in Oakland for more than 20 years, to be honest about it. More like 25 years. They've been here for a minute. And for those of us who are interested in this type of knowledge of self, knowledge of understanding of the spiritual levels of man, of which we need to ascend through and master each for a better understanding of ourselves, check in your city and see if there is a chapter of the Asar Aset Society in your city. And even if there isn't, you can go online, you can order from the Taui network, get yourself some books like this, the Metu NETER, which is extremely esoteric. It's real heavy, real deep. I've been trying with this for 30 years, to be honest about it, okay. Not continuously throughout those 30 years, but my first introduction was pretty much nearly 30 years ago. Nearly 30 years ago, I can say that. So today what I'm going to do, as I just said, is to break down this particular card and the representation of the God of Earth. The God of Earth, which is GEB. Okay? GEB, sometimes called Seb. Okay, so let's do it. Alright, my people. First I'm going to read, well, I'm going to be doing reading. I'm reading from the book so that I can get this down in video form, so that it is information that can be looked at again and again. People can look at this video again and again to help in the understanding process, because it is something that can be hard for some of us who are not these esoteric type thinkers, but not impossible. Repetition is the key, and so creating a video of this helps in the learning process and can be looked at again and again. So that's what I'm doing, starting with Seb or Geb. Okay, Seb or Geb, the God of the Earth. It has just begun to dawn in the past decade or so on Western scientists that the manner in which the Earth maintains the equilibrium in the fluxes and utilization of water, heat, carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen, and the myriad of substances necessary to maintain life resembles so much the picture of the homeostatic functions in living creatures that the science of geology is best redefined as physiology, and the Earth looked at as a living entity. This emerging science, which considers the earth a living being, is called Gaia. Over 6,000 years ago, our African ancestors called it GEB. Not only did they consider the earth to be alive, they noted that it played a major role in man's spiritual development. As Seb, the divine goose, the earth god, broods upon the egg within which man's earthly experiences unfold, i.e., our earthly life is the embryonic stage of our spiritual development. The earthly demands, rewards, carrot on the stick, and pressures of existence prod us toward the awakening of our spiritual talents and powers. Recall what was said about our mortality and vulnerability in the discussion of Seker. In this role as divine ox goad, Geb is called the Urpau of the gods. That is, it has inherited the role of the deities as the imitator of man's spiritual evolution. This is important as most people think of the earth in terms of its imprisonment of man's consciousness, without considering the fact that at the same time it provides the stimulus for escaping it. According to the Per Imhru, the Book of the Dead, the righteous were provided with words of power that allowed them to escape the earth, while the wicked, the materialists, were held fast by Seb. It must be noted that inherent in the function of the earth as the imprisoner of consciousness and oxgo toward spiritual development is its role as verifier of spiritual development. A proof of spiritual development is the ability to rise above the emotional and sensual influences, which are, after all, expressions of the animal, earthly part of being. The ability to learn independently of externals, for example, from within. The ability to control or influence earthly events in our bodies and environment through the power of our life force at the command of our will. Now there is power on that level. Okay? It's not a level that should be looked upon lightly. And there are those spiritualities that claim that the earth level is pretty much a wickedness level, because, well, there's a lot of wickedness and twistedness in the earth. But that level pushes us towards development. The pain that one suffers because of a lack is the same pain that pushes the person towards development so that they can release themselves from the lack. So the pain is the thing that pushes you away from the pain. I just recently did a video talking about such stuff as the ghetto, quote unquote. And the things that go on here is the thing that gives you the motivation to develop your creativity so that you can then move away from the negative aspects of the ghetto. Today I have my green smoothie water. Which is a part of mastery on the 10th sphere earthly Geb level. As Ra Nefer Amen says, you have to master this level in order to be able to reach the next levels. You have to treat your body properly, you have to eat correctly, drink enough water, and those good things that we know. Okay, so let's read the next part of this. for GEB. Now I know that a lot of this can seem kind of like, what is she talking about? Because I'm starting at the bottom and working my way up, it creates sort of like a conflict, because the way he wrote his book, he wrote it from the top to the bottom. So he's starting with auxer. So more of the explanations of things are readily available in those, when he talks about the higher up, quote unquote, spirits of the spirit of man. So it seems kind of occult what I'm saying right now. It seems dark, seems confusing, or maybe what is she talking about kind of thing. But it will come clear as I do more videos in the future, as I go now to from 10 to the next level up, 9, which is offset, and talk more about that level of the spirit of man, and we're talking about human beings. It'll become more clear, in other words, my people. So just be patient and make sure you subscribe to this channel, so that when I create that video, you'll be the first one to know about it and fill in your knowledge. Okay, so here, GEB, and I'm reading from the section that speaks of the Metu fundamental principles, the fundamental principles of the Metu. Okay, and these are the Metu. Okay, GEB. It is seemingly paradoxical that earthly influences, which are the prime sources of our anti-spiritual behavior, should provide man with the prime impulse to his spiritual development. It seems paradoxical. Without the obstructions and demands of our earthly existence, unevolved man will not stir to awaken and bring forth his spiritual powers. So see how that is. If there isn't anything there that the ox goad, so to speak, the things that prick you, the things that push you, things that irritate you, then you don't move, okay, to correct those things. And in the correcting of those situations is where you are developing your spiritual power, level by level. Okay, so once you develop, for example, when you eat bad food, you get sick, you're dragging around, you don't feel good, you get diseases. The pain from all of that is usually the ox goad, the push that makes you get up and stop eating the bad foods and start doing the exercises and start drinking the correct amount of water and start mastering the 10th level of the tree of life of who you are. Your earthly body, your physical body, your health. That's how you do it. It's a very interesting kind of thing. It's like those negative things, so-called negative, push you towards the so-called positive. And this, my people, is God's world. Okay? Alright, so that was the fundamental on the GEB level. So let's see what else was time to read to you all. Okay, now I'm going to read to you from let's see, what's this titled? Chapter 19, the Metu. Okay, the breakdown of the Metu. And I did a video a couple of months ago talking about the Metu one by one. And when I read from the book, I was not able to read the entire thing, the thing in its entirety, because I was reading all of the Metu, all 14 of them. Okay, so here I'm going to be able to focus. And so these are the aspects of the Metu GEB, or the Metu. It's only one. Metu means plural. Metu means one. Okay, GEB, Kemetic, GEB or Seb. In the Canaanite system, this level is called Sandalphon. In the Kabbalistical system, it is called Malkuth. In the Indus Kush system, it is called Vairavi. And I think I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not sure. Vairavi. Bhai Ravi. Vairavi. Okay, and the breakdown, sphere 10. Okay, we know it's the 10th sphere because it said so on the card. Planet, Earth, yes. Day, all days, okay, all. Dehekau, the mantra, word of power, that goes with this card. The spiritual is Ash Rao, Raz Hekau, okay. The spiritual keynotes, underlying principles, positive, consistent adherence to the laws of health is absolutely necessary for spiritual development and success in life. Let's see, let's try something here. Let's use this one, the Earth Realm. Glass filled with crystals and rocks. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to read the spiritual counsel, because that's what we're dealing with here. Divination. Okay, so what's the counsel? When you receive a GEB reading, you are reminded of the fact that a major component of your spiritual force is sublimated: food, water, and oxygen. Adherence to the laws governing health is an essential requirement for the manifestation of spiritual power. This is an important concept to keep in mind, as most people have been misguided by the mistaken belief to the effect that as the physical plane is the effect of the metaphysical forces, the earthly laws need not be observed, as all physical ills can be overcome through spiritual work. There is a dangerous half-truth at work here. You can influence physical events through the power of your life force, commanded by your will, only if you adhere to earthly laws. A GEB reading may also refer to the physical resources, money, labor, capital, energy, friends, etc., that you have or lack for an undertaking. It is also used by the oracle to symbolize the health, quote-unquote, of an undertaking, as well as of the person inquired about. Okay, my people, so that would be the spiritual counsel for someone who has received a GEB card in a reading. And now I'm going to read one last thing about this that we can take. Let's see, what is the name of it first? I want to first be able to tell you what it is. With all of this is going to help to focus on the meanings and therefore bring forth understanding so we can finally grasp what it is and then incorporate it into our understanding so we can then use it, so we can utilize it. So what we're dealing with and what we're doing here is practical. See, that's the thing for us as African people. No matter where we happen to be, what nation, whether on the continent of Africa or outside of the continent of Africa, the thing for us, and it has always been and will always be because this is who we are concerned with the practicality of a thing. Is it practical? How can I use it and make use of it to my benefit? Okay, so we are dealing with practicality. We want to use the thing. We want to make it work. It's more, for us, it has to be more than just an exercise in rhetoric or some kind of thing that we can just ponder and then that's it. So it's practicality. Okay, we are wanting to use this and we want it to work for us, and so that's what this is about. Okay, now let's find that again. I just missed. Okay, the meanings of the combined Metu. Remember, we're pulling cards. We're not gonna, when someone is divining for you, they're gonna pull different cards together. Okay, they're not gonna all be GEB at one time. So these cards have meanings, and that's the last part of what I'm going to read right here. The meaning ascribed to GEB. And it's going to look a little bit different than the way it will look for all sets and all the cards going up from that point. So, and it's very brief compared to all the others, okay, that break down the positive and negatives of the divination. But GEB does it like this. All of the readings of GEB indicate the interactions between the physical body and the mental/emotional faculties. GEB, as the first card, symbolizes the effect that the deity, second card, especially the emotions and lifestyle, has upon the health. GEB, as the second card, symbolizes the effect that the physical health has upon the emotions, and thus the mental activities symbolized by the deity. And that's the other thing that I should mention. When you do these NETER readings, you're pulling two cards, okay? You're not going to pull a long list of cards. You're pulling two, and those two cards interact with each other. I mean, if a person wanted to, they can pull as many cards as they felt like it. But the way Brother Never Amen wrote this is that you're pulling two cards. So when you pull a GEB, the GEB card interacts a particular way with the other cards, okay? And we will learn more about that in future videos that I create. Alright, so my people, that is the information for GEB according to Brother Never Amen, who has brought forth this information from the Akashic record, according to him, for our edification, for our knowledge and understanding of self, and to build ourselves. Okay. Now there's one last thing I want to do with these cards, and that's to sort of talk about, or just sort of put forth the markings on each card. There's 5 cards, right? So there's markings on them. Now I have that. Now where did I put it? I lost that. Okay, here it is. I got it. The suits. Okay, each suit has its markings. Okay. Now, of course, we know there's positive, negative, quote unquote, and then neutral. If you look in the upper left-hand corner of the card, you will see 4 little circles lined on top of each other. And with this card, none of those circles are filled in. Okay? Now that represents, let's see what that represents, okay? That represents what is called two ma'ats, okay? Two ma'ats. Two means positive, okay? And what it would mean, let's see if I can find that. I had all these things marked. Okay, here it is. You know what, I'm going to read what he says about the suits from the beginning. I'm not going to just skip to his definition. I'm going to read the whole thing. That's what this video is about. 31 minutes already. Let me take a sip of my green water. But that's what I'm doing here. Okay, the suits. The suits are a guide to your likelihood of succeeding or failing through the strategy and faculties you are using in the given situation. Hetep represents the greatest likelihood of success. You could still fail, however, as it does not predict success without effort. It is like being shackled with a light chain that can be easily slipped off, but you must make the effort. Wow, that reminds me of a card in the because these are universal aspects of human living. But it reminds me of a card in the New Orleans voodoo deck, and I forgot the name of the card, but what it is a picture of a woman. She's in a swamp, or a person who's in a swamp. Her hands are tied behind her back very loosely. If she wanted to, she can slip out of those shackles, out of that rope. And beyond the leaves, hiding in the leaves, you can see sets of eyes of creatures that are sort of hiding yet lurking and looking at her. I believe that's the picture of that card, and I forgot the name of that card, but anyway, that's what this means, Hetep. This is why you must always read both the positive and the negative correspondences of a Metu. Hetep does not mean the absence of negativity. It means that it is relatively easy to transcend it. Whether you are aware of it or not, it means that the way is open for heaven, the indwelling intelligence, to assist you through the faculties represented by the deity of the reading. And when we think of heaven, wow, do we have a whole lot to consider as it pertains to heaven. Well, let me just say this. In this system, heaven is your higher being, okay? Heaven is the Christ consciousness, okay? Heaven is within the spirit of man, which is connected to the Most High God. So, heaven is not a place in the sky. Heaven is the place within you, the high place within you, your higher consciousness. Okay. Whether you are aware of it or not, it means that the way is open for heaven, the indwelling intelligence, to assist you through the faculties represented by the deity of the reading. I cannot overemphasize the need to take note of the fact that, and he underlines this, the step of considering the suit comes after the study of the correspondences of the cards and its comparison with the significator of the situation. In the above example, we can see the possible catastrophic results that would occur if, prior to step 5, the person concluded that because the offset card was hetep, the reading presaged success in the undertaking. Placed in the proper perspective, it indicates that the individual is likely to succeed as a guard by adapting a sebek/offset strategy to the situation. Anyway, this is there was a oh well. He put forth an example of somebody asking a question about whether or not he should become a guard. See, that's the thing about this. Okay, but anyway, I'm not even going to go into all of that. He got a reading, and this is a breakdown of how that reading should be looked at in regards to whether the person should go forward with becoming the guard. But anyway, tu ma'at means, okay, tu ma'at, okay, tu ma'at. And the card with 4 dots, all open, no shading, is tu ma'at. And it's positive. It's a positive card. Tu ma'at means that the way is opening for the influence of the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking. You must focus on living, just not knowing, but living the truths and virtues associated with the deity of the reading. In other words, if you get this card, a GEB card, and you got this with all clear spots, which is a tu ma'at, then for you need to get into living the meaning of this card, meaning that you need to be working on getting your health right, eating properly, exercising, and the things that this particular God, the God of earth, represents to Ma'at. Okay? That's what it means. It's opening. The way is opening. If you do those things, the way is opening. Okay? The next card, Tu Chas. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the spelling is T-C-H-A-A-S. Tu Chas. And a Tu Chas card looks like this. Tu Chas is, wow, this is going to be an hour long? I think so. Tu Chas is when one of the 4 circles on the upper left hand corner of this card is filled in. It's called Tu Chas. Okay? Tu Chas, or however that's pronounced. And Tu Chas means that the way is opening for the influence of the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking. You must focus on increasing your stock of information regarding the situation through study and meditation. You must also meditate on impressing these ideas upon your spirit. First level of the meditation process, which is a whole other thing right there, my people. This is a lifelong type of initiation system is no joke. There's a lot that goes into it, but the results of living life like this is a SAR eventually, okay? But here on level 10, and imagine you got level 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay? But right now we're on 10. Okay, so this again is 2 chas, and it is positive. The way is opening if you do your due diligence study, okay, and your meditations, because you learn from meditation as well as from reading books or listening to tapes or whatever. Meditation is the way you learn as well. Okay, then we have this card, okay, which has 2 of the dots filled in. That card is called Hetep or Hotep. I remember when I was younger and I was a part of a group of aspiring spiritual people, Afrocentric and African-centric, we used to greet each other by saying Hotep or Het. We didn't say Hetep, but it means the same thing. Hotep. And we define that as meaning peace. Hetep, peace. Here, that card, which is a positive card as well, Hetep, is the great, okay, I just read Hetep. That's why I had got that kind of mixed up. Hetep represents the greatest likelihood of success. You can still fail, however, as it does not predict success without effort. It is like being shackled with a light chain and can be easily slipped off, but you must make the effort. Okay, I had read that out of order. But anyway, it is positive and it means it's success if you do what it is that you need to do, if you go through the test, okay? If you undo the shackle, whatever the shackle happens to be, okay? And it definitely is a positive card. Alright, so now to the negative cards. Negative, quote unquote. My people, I thank you all very much for your patience. We are attempting to gain mastery and knowledge of self, and here is a masterful system for that very thing. So it is our responsibility to understand it, okay? And so therefore we put in the work, which is not really hard, it's just time consuming, but either we can take the time to learn to do the right thing, or we can waste our time in doing the wrong thing. You still are spending time either way, so you might as well do this. Alright, so Tem, Ma'at. Tem meaning negative, okay? And Tem Ma'at is the card where all 4 of the upper left hand corner dots are filled in, and it is negative. Tem Ma'at, okay? Tem Ma'at means that the way is closed to the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking. Due to your vulnerability to the wrong beliefs and emotions denoted by the card. It is obvious that the lowest suits indicate that there is more work to be done, more obstructions to be overcome, and a greater chance of failing. In most cases, it is advisable to avoid undertakings when the two latter suits are drawn. If they must be done, a great deal of care, meditation, and study must be observed. Okay, so that is Tim Ma'at, and I'm doing this all out of order. And this one is Tim Tchas. 3 of the 4 are filled in. It is negative. Tim Tchas, or Chas. And it means that the way is closing to the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking, due to your vulnerability to the wrong beliefs denoted by the card. So, I guess the wrong beliefs, if you pulled this card, would be not taking care of your body, abusing alcohol, or abusing food, abusing drugs. And then wrong beliefs would be the way some people who are should I even say this? Some people who smoke marijuana feel that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's God's gift to us. But what they don't, a lot of times what they don't understand is that maybe they're abusing it by thinking that they have to smoke every single day and numerous times a day. That kind of thing. The abuse of it is not the good thing. So there it all is, my people. Wow. From the Metu NETER Volume 1 by Shechem Ra-Un Nefer Amen. Okay? A great oracle of Tehuti, the Egyptian system of spiritual cultivation. And to cultivate means to put in work. When you think about cultivating a garden, you know that you're doing a year's worth of work, and there's stages in that thing. Like right now in my garden, I had like an explosion of tomatoes that just went berserk, right? Now everything is sort of dying back. I still have some tomatoes that are popping up, but these tomatoes that are coming on these vines are going to be little weak ones and that kind of thing. Now is the time for me to start turning dirt. I don't grow fall vegetables because in my area there's this white stuff that comes on the leaves of just about every plant that pops up out here and covers everything. And I don't have the time to put in that kind of work to make sure that doesn't happen if I try to sit here and grow spinach or collards or any kind of the leafy things. We have some kind of leaf thing out here. So for me, my time is to start digging up and just throwing things on my compost heap and aerating and doing that kind of thing right now. Then I let it go. I let it sit throughout the winter. Then around February, late January, February, I started looking at that dirt again, started doing things, separating, because I'm a container gardener. Then I start thinking about putting in compost. Throughout the whole time I'm going to be doing the composting. But the point I'm making, let me not drag this on. The point I'm making is that there are steps to what I do, and it's a cycle of steps. And so that's what it is with spiritual cultivation. It's a cycle, a spiral of growth. Starting from here, having the earth, God, in proper alignment, eating properly, doing the things that are in the earthly realm, not making the mistake of dismissing the earthly realm, dismissing following the earthly laws of health. We don't dismiss any of this, okay? That's a mistake, okay? That's why I started at the bottom. Because if I started at Osar, I mean, it's like, wow, the God, man, he got everything under control. We can make the mistake of believing. See, that's the one thing he always talks about. It's not about knowing and believing, okay, understanding. It's about doing as well, okay? You have to be doing it. I can understand what, a good diet is. I could have read all the books and everything about eating properly, but if I'm not eating properly, then what's the point? See, that's the thing. That would hinder my level on the 10th sphere, the God of the earth level. All right, my people, so 50 minutes long, huh? That's all right. We are learning. We are moving forward, and I got like 10 or 11 more to do. All the way up to Atem, okay? The top level, which would be this card. Which would be this card right here. It doesn't even have an image on it. I don't know how to read the hieroglyphics, but I'm sure it's going to tell me what exactly it means. Alright, so my people, thanks again for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the You Are Leaders channel. And make sure you come back for more of this, because like I just said, I'm going to go through all of them. It's going to take me a minute to do it. But once it's done, you'll be able to watch these videos at your leisure whenever you feel like it. So make sure you share with others. If there's one thing we as the Africans need, and that is to do Sankofa, go back to what belongs to us and pull forth the spirit of the thing that is ours. And Shechem, Ra Nefer Amen, has done a major, magnificent, beautiful work for us that takes into account all levels, because it's not just about the mind, which could be my stronghold, pretty much focusing only on the mind while I'm sitting here eating cookies and studying the Metu NETER. He focuses on the body too, all areas, okay? And that is in his extensive meditation system as well, because that's where the information actually is. In fact, his very far advanced meditation things that he has done over the years is what allowed him to create this, okay? What allowed him to pull it from what is called the Akashic record, okay? Which is just that high spiritual, that heaven, that's where it is. Alright, so my people, peace and love to each and every one of you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, make sure you share this all the way across everywhere, okay? And make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can get more, okay? I'm going to be focusing on these cards, focusing on what's here, and less on my opinions about things and more on what we need, okay? I think I've talked about my opinions long enough. So, blessings to each and every one, and Hotep.